Hey, what's up, cats and kittens? And shout out to all my cerebral lights. It is me, the Cerebral Diva, and she is back with another episode of RealiTEA, and that's TEA because I give it to you scalding hot. So grab your cups, grab your saucers, gather around, people, and let's all partake in this libation of Love and Hip Hop Atlanta tea. We are in season 7, episode 4 of Love and Hip Hop Atlanta. Let's talk about some things really quick here. I'm going to try to give you guys a very condensed version of what happened. Carly Red is a mess. Super hilarious, super funny, but a complete and total narcissist, and you really see that in this most recent episode. So Carly is in the process of taking care of her ailing father. The father has cancer, I believe. It's her estranged father. They've never really had a relationship based on what Carly has explained on the show. And so he's now living in Florida, but both Carly and her sister are trying to get him to come to Atlanta so they can keep a closer watch on him due to his failing health. So Carly, who feels overwhelmed by the responsibility, confides in her new boo, Sean Garrett. Shout out to Sean Garrett because he definitely has his hands full dealing with Carly. So there's a scene where the two of them are talking, and Carly goes to him, and they're sort of having this sort of heart to heart, and both of them are talking about the situations with their respective parents. In that moment, Sean is attempting to give Carly some advice, and he talks about his own relationship with his mother and how she died of cancer. And mid-sentence, she jumps in, hijacks it, turns around when the man is opening up and being vulnerable, and turns it into a Carly moment. And she did that to him like 2 or 3 times until the point finally he said something. And I'm literally sitting in my room clapping out loud because I'm like, thank you, because I was sitting here thinking the same exact thing. Can someone just shut her down and make her understand that when someone is talking and confiding to you, and if you're that person, because everyone has that friend, and if you don't have that friend, chances are you are that friend, who whenever you talk to them, the only thing that they can talk about is themselves. They can never allow you the opportunity to have a moment of your own without somehow hijacking it and making it about them. So Carly kept doing that to him repeatedly to the point that he finally said something about it. And even when he began saying something about it, she stood up and took off her clothes to sort of change the subject matter once again. Carly is so funny to me. This woman has had more relationships probably than Elizabeth Taylor. Every time you look on the show, she has a new man. And I'm not slut shaming her because the men do it. So I can't necessarily have a double standard and hold her to a different standard than we do the men on the show. But I'm telling you, Carly has about 1.5 men per season. I don't know how many, just off the top, I can remember. I think there was Sean Kingston, now Sean Garrett. There was Life Jennings. There was Young Jock. There was Benzino. Who else am I missing? I know I'm missing a couple more people. Comment below if there are some people that I'm forgetting. I'm just giving you the ones that I can recall off the cuff. So anyway, that was Carly Red. So in addition, let's talk about Shooter and Sierra. So Sierra has basically moved on. The two of them are sort of on the fringes of a divorce. But as you know, Shooter's son was killed recently, and so sometimes tragedy can breed can pull people back together. People who have dissolved their relationships for whatever reason. When a tragedy happens, it really has a tendency to sort of make you a little bit more emotionally susceptible to reconciliation. So Shooter, who apparently, and it's not been confirmed, but it has been discussed this season, may be of the Kirk Frost ilk, where he's had a child outside of their marriage, is somehow in a state of disbelief that beyond attending the funeral and offering her condolences, that the woman who he hasn't been there for, the woman who he's cheated on and embarrassed, is suddenly not there for him. And I don't understand how men seem to think that you get to run all over me, do whatever you want to do to me, and then suddenly when you need me, I'm supposed to be there for you. And if I'm not there for you, suddenly you're trying to question my value or diminish my value as a woman because you've created this wall between the two of us through your actions. It drives me crazy when these men do this because you have to take ownership of what you created. And yes, your son has passed away, and yes, it's a hard time for you, and I apologize for that. But guess what? I've been having a hard time for the past several years because while it's not a physical death, you've certainly caused me a spiritual and emotional death by embarrassing me and by killing the marriage, the life of the marriage that I thought we had together. So don't make your hurt and pain supersede mine. For some reason you feel that what you're feeling is greater than what I felt, and it just drives me crazy when men do that. It's just like, you can't cause me hurt and create a wedge between the two of us, and then be upset because I'm now being blocked emotionally from you by the wedge that you created. So I just thought it was a really interesting dynamic watching him, and not just him. There was this new girl who showed up, Keely, I believe. She's dating K Bachi. He's a promoter in Atlanta. So she's basically trying to get Shooter to date. And I'm thinking to myself, you sound so dumb. The man just lost his son, first of all. The last thing he should be thinking about is hot box. Like, give him some time to heal. I think even Young Jock said that as well. Like, this just is not good timing. So shout out to Young Jock for at least having the presence of mind to call her out on that. Because I'm just like, he shouldn't be dating. Right now he should be in therapy. Right now he should be with family. It shouldn't be about him getting out and finding or at the very least he should be focused on trying to repair the relationship that he's damaged. If the demise of one relationship, i.e. the murder of your son, is so painful to the point that it's opening you up in a way that you haven't been open to before, maybe this is the time that you reach out to your wife. I'm sorry, it's incumbent upon him. It's not her job to fix what she didn't break. That is his job. So there was that. Okay, and then in addition to that, there was Kirk, Rashida, and Jasmine, right? So I know most people don't like Jasmine, but during this past episode, I actually fell in love with this girl. I think she's so sweet. Not only is she sweet, but she's absolutely beautiful to me. And not only is she beautiful, the son that she and Kirk created, when I tell you I'm going to jump through the TV and just, literally have an Amber Alert out for this little boy because he's so adorable. He's so friggin' cute. And so, she's basically been on this apology tour where she went to press and tried to talk to Rashida and Rashida's mother and sister. Obviously, they had wanted to have no parts of what she was talking about, and rightfully so. But shout out to her for being woman enough to at least try and not going in there with the chip on her shoulder. You know what I mean? Because even when she went in there and they were very resistant to her, and they had every right to be, she didn't sort of pipe up and get loud and boisterous. She respected their position and sort of stated why she was there and that she wasn't there to cause problems. I don't think that it was the best way to ingratiate yourself to Rashida, but I appreciated the attempt in what she was doing. And not only did I appreciate what she was doing, I appreciate the spirit in which it was done, because a lot of people would have, when they went there with the intention to apologize and the apology was refused, that would have been enough to kick them into a different space. And she didn't. She was steadfast in her position of apology, and that to me spoke to the authenticity of what she was there to do. So after they were resistant, she then went to Kirk, and we see the two of them having a meeting at their attorney's office where she's expressing to him, like, look, this is your son. This isn't about us anymore. We created a life. He has brothers and sisters. I want them to know about him. And she did so in a way that Kirk, you saw him soften in that moment and realize that, this isn't a bad person. This is a woman that I created a life with. I had a part in making, I'm not calling the child a mistake, but I'm saying I had a part in creating a child that I did not want to create. But now that that life is here, I have to be responsible for it. And I thought that she just did a really, really good job. And I also realized when I was looking at Jasmine in that most recent episode, I'm like, wow, Kirk has a type, because when you look at Jasmine and Rashida, they can almost be related. They look like they come from the same tribe, and at least they do, in my opinion. So I just thought that was really cool to see. So moving on from that, I want to talk really quickly about Tommie. Tommie. This woman is so unstable. I don't know what sort of protocol VH1 has in place to deal with her, but if I were on the episode, if I were on this show, I would either A, refuse to shoot with her, B, I would have to have security as a partition between the two of us at all times, or C, I would have to be packing heat in every episode, because I'm not going to fight her. I'm just going to shoot her and put her out of her misery. I'm going to put her down like the rabid dog that she is. I remember watching, the first episodes of Love and Hip Hop Atlanta when Jocelyn Hernandez was on there. And shout out to Jocelyn. Jocelyn needs to hurry up and get back to TV because it took me a second or two to remember what her name was. So she needs to hurry up and get back on TV. But I remember watching and thinking, Jocelyn is such a bully. Jocelyn is so mean. Like thinking all of these things about Jocelyn. And now that Tommie is on the show, I'm like, well, damn, she makes Jocelyn seem like a pussycat. This woman is crazy. I mean, she is completely unstable, ebullient, mercurial, unpredictable, irrational, just all of those things. And now they say that she has an addiction to alcohol. I can't speak to that. Does she look a little bit off kilter in many of the scenes? Absolutely. The eyes look a little heavy. The speech is a little labored. There are certain things that make me think, okay, maybe she's under the influence of something. But the way she moves, she doesn't necessarily move in a way that would lead me to believe, because she's quick. So it makes me think, okay, she's not under the influence of something, because you would think that it would be a little bit more lethargic in terms of her movements. So she's on the episode and she's trying to reconcile with her mom, right? Well, she's reconciled with her mom. And first of all, let me say this. I'm not in the business of talking about anyone's mother. That's not what I do. But I am going to say this. Shame on Tommie, shame on VH1 for letting her mother get on TV like that with her edges looking like that, and no one not having the presence of mind to put some black hairspray or to try to swoop it and gel it. They let that woman's edges look. That was a crime. That was a crime of epic proportions to put that woman on TV with her edges looking like that. Not just the edges, but the disheveled ponytail. Like, come on, people. Don't do her like that. Don't do her mom like that. So I just had to touch on that because I was like literally watching through my fingers when I was looking at Tommie's mom. Like, are they really going to do her edges like this? And no one's going to act. Are you going to act like I'm the only one that sees this? Someone on camera, someone on set had to have seen that. And they let this woman fill this episode that will live in perpetuity. That will probably wind up being memes. And you know how people do. So you have to be very careful about what you put on television. So I just had to say that. So anyhow, Tommie's mom is trying to facilitate this reconciliation between Tommie and her sister Versace. Now, one thing I have to say about Tommie's family, when you look at the men and the women, there's even a little girl that I see in one scene. They come from good genes. Everyone who I've seen in that family is absolutely beautiful. So, looks that is not there. That's definitely not a problem for that particular family. Everyone in that family, Versace included, looks absolutely beautiful in my opinion. But Tommie is so unstable. So they basically call Tommie over. The mom does. She wants to have this sort of family photo shoot. Now, this photo shoot was, I don't know what, in the Scooby-Doo, Partridge Family, Brady Bunch, Good Times, Hell, Jackson 5 that they were thinking. When I looked, like, can we just get some ripped jeans and white t-shirts and go barefooted and just do sort of the traditional family photo? I don't know what the mom was thinking when she created this photo shoot. So she wanted to have a photo shoot. Everyone's dressed up in their 70s garb. Tommie walks in. She's under the influence. The sister walks over, the sister being Versace, and she says, hey, I just want to talk to you and apologize. And initially, it starts off where you're like, oh, this might go somewhere. And so she's like, I just want to apologize, and, let's try to move past this, and she's like, and I'd like for you to apologize too. And Lord have mercy, what did she say that for? The moment she said that, Tommie's entire disposition shifted, and she turned into the chupacabra. I mean, she just turned into a complete and total monster. So she starts going off on the sister, cursing the mother out. And you know what I realized in that moment when I was watching Tommie? I had flashbacks of the relationship between Sky and Genesis on Black Ink. And I thought to myself, this is the relationship that Tommie has with her mother is the relationship that Sky would have with Genesis. I think that I don't care who you are, whether it's your mother, whether it's your father, your grandparents, when you feel violated or disrespected to the nth degree, sometimes those relationships can never be repaired. And I don't really know the full extent of Tommie's relationship with her mother. But, you know, if I were judging, right, I'm inclined to believe that Tommie's level of anger and how strong and assertive and domineering she is, I believe that that stems from sexual abuse. And that's just me giving sort of a an outsider's perception, because the reason she's so strong, the reason she's so fortified is because now that she's learned how to protect herself, she will never allow herself to be violated or hurt again. And whomever violated her, for some reason, she associates that violation with her mother or the lack of protection with her mother. And that's just me, just I don't know that to be true, but that's just sort of the hunch that I get, because the anger that she feels for her mother is so deep. And there's only a few things that can cause a level of hate that deep for a parent. And I really think that it stems from sexual abuse. That's just my personal opinion. If you know anything about Tommie's history, and her, in particular, her history with her mother, please comment below. I'm just really interested to know what you guys have to think. What you guys think, excuse me. So anyway, that was it for pretty much for this episode. It was a really good, interesting episode. I'm really excited to see what happens next. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and close out this review. Make sure you comment below. I'm really interested in hearing what you guys have to say. Also, remember to like, comment, subscribe. Remember to hit that tiny little bell to turn on your alerts so that you'll be notified when new videos appear. And as always, in closing, you guys, remember to live better, love harder, and think smarter. It is me, the Cerebral Dealer, signing off. Have a great day, and I'll talk to you guys again soon.